Well, good morning. And I don't know if you guys can tell, but I love coffee. I think that's the best thing invented other than chocolate. Other girls can relate to me probably. But when I go to Starbucks, I usually order a tall latte because I don't like tasting the sweetener. I love just the taste of coffee. That's like my addiction. So one morning, it was like a year ago, I went to Starbucks and I parked my car. I pressed a little clicker thinking to lock it. My car doesn't have an alarm system, but I want other people to think of that so they don't steal it. So I walked in and I ordered my drink, tall latte, and then I went to the side and waited for my drink to come out. So then once I got my drink, I sat in the chair that was closest to me, and there was a guy next to me. He was in between like his mid-30s, 35 maybe, and he's like, "Hi, what's your name?" And I'm like, "My name's Maria. What's your name?" I don't remember his name, but he said so. And after that, he's like, "Okay, well, what are you doing? Are you going to school? Are you working?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm going to Southmont Community College, and I want to be a social worker." So then he looked at me, and he's like, "A social worker?" I'm like, "Yeah, social worker." He's like, "Why do you want to be a social worker? They get like $30,000 a year." I'm like, "Well, that's my passion. That's just what I want to do." He said, "Well, do you know that because you're a woman and a Latina, you have less probabilities to even graduate college?" He said he was a doctor and that he was making good money. And I'm like, dang, you don't even know me like that, first of all. And then I came back to realizations, and I'm like, man, he is right. So I went home and I Googled it, and only 7.4% of Latino women graduate college with an associate degree, so on a type of degree. So I always seem to kind of like beat the odds when I was, I would say, conceived. My mom was in the UID, I don't know if I said it right, 7 years. Yeah. And so meaning that you can't have kids like a birth control for 7 years. And I'm a miracle baby. I beat that odd. So that's how it came about, December 22nd. I also beat depression, which that was like my biggest accomplishment. I was abused at the age 15. I had a meth addiction. At 16, I was saved. I'm Christian. I found God in my life. The song that I would say would define me is Overcomer by Mendiz. I don't know if you ever heard it. But there's this thing in the song that says, "You're an overcomer even when you're down low. That's when he reminds you that you are an overcomer." And I think that is my life song. As far as my best attributions, it has to be ambition. I am a very ambitious person. If I put my mind to something, I'm going to get it. And even if I don't know how, I will sit there and I'm like, all right, well, how can I accomplish that? I will Google it and find a way to do it. As far as the most interesting about me, well, it has to be about like my overcoming story thing. And also that I have a passion for helping others. Because where I went through, I want to help other women, children that are going through the same thing that I went through and help them. My dream is to make a group home. Not just be a social worker, but own a group home and make a home where I can shelter women and children who went through what I went through, and hopefully share the light that I found when I was 16, and be that person that I didn't have when I was going through those things. That's the most interesting about me. As far from that, I am very clumsy. I am goofy. I could barely walk. I say, I hate skating. I hate ice skating because I say if I could barely walk, it makes me think I can walk on knives. But yeah, that's who I am. My name is Maria Gonzalez, and I'm 20 years old, and I am excited to see how the rest of this